Welcome back in, everybody, to another edition of the Dynasty Trade Show. So glad you could join us. And as always, please, let's continue the momentum, man. 543 subs as of today. We want to hit that 1,000. We want to hit that 1,000. We want to do a special giveaway, but we appreciate all the support. We appreciate you tapping in. Just make sure that you're subscribed. And if you could, drop a like, drop a comment. We love to hear feedback. But Adam, let's not waste any time, man. The people came here for a reason. Let's fucking give them what they want.
We
got trades to do, buddy.
You know, let's stop pussyfooting around, right? Let's get into it.
Hit it. I'm ready.
We'll start with one of my deals, Mike. Let's start with one of mine.
Shit. Oh, you're making big boy deals out here, buddy.
Well,
We're
let's
not
just
pussyfooting around.
Speaking of not pussyfooting around, I didn't pussyfoot around in the startup for this thing, and let me tell you what happened, buddy. A whopping, ugly failed contender, and I've been sitting on Barkley, man, and unfortunately, the way the league is, it's 14 teams. I haven't been able to move them for what I thought was the right price, and now, you know, we're looking at running back values continuing to crater. So, here we go, man. DeAndre Swift. It doesn't feel great because Swift's hurt. He hasn't played since, week 2? But, you know, what am I going to do? Keep riding Barkley on a full rebuild? This is why I had to make that pivot.
Barkley's good, man. I saw some conversation that he might be the Dynasty RB1, Dynasty RB2. I mean, he's fucking special. Let's not get it twisted at all, right? Saquon is fucking good at football. I think for both of us, man, this is a lot closer than the Dynasty ranks were at the beginning of the season, right? Saquon came back and said, yeah, y'all forgot about me. And no one's surprised, right? You know, well, I made a fucking TikTok about people forgetting about Bark. long time ago.
Yep.
How about this? Let me ask you this.
Yep.
Swift over Barkley still for you in Dynasty ranks?
For me, it is. I think that's not going to be consensus. But for me, I still do have Swift over there. I would say this, though. On a contender, I would pivot from Swift to Barkley pretty easily, though. You know, just based on how all the injuries and knowing how good Barkley's playing right now. Like, we need Swift to come back. We assumed he was coming back after the bye. He didn't do that.
Yeah.
We don't know what kind of snap share he's going to get right away. Like, if I'm a contender and you tell me I can make this pivot to Barkley, I like it a lot, too. But I think in Dynasty overall rankings, I do have Swift still ahead of Bark.
I think this is the sweetheart range for a running back swap on a contender and a rebuild, right? I think this is the epitome of what we want in Dynasty football. I get it. Like, if I look at it, man, 1 for 1, I'm fully with you. I want, on the contender side, I want Saquon Barkley. It sucks to give up DeAndre Swift because I still believe in him. I still believe he's going to have a good second half of the year. I just don't know how long it's going to take to kind of get in it. And if you're in a contender, man, you can't fuck around and wait, right?
Yeah, you're trying to get a bye, man, you know?
Yeah, you don't have that luxury. Getting the bye week is so damn important heading into the fantasy playoffs. But on a rebuilder, I think it's a lot closer for a lot of people, and there may be some disagreement. But the way I look at it, I still think Swift's a hell of a talent, so is Saquon. But you're resetting the age by a full 2 years, right?
That's the main thing for me.
And Bark may be a fucking mutant, right? he may break it all. You know, we kind of give props to the 2017 running back class. Like, they just keep fucking going.
Right.
Saquon, not part of the 2017 class, but, you know, who am I to judge this, man? Who am I to say different? So I love this deal for both you and Evan, right? Our guy Eplo. It's a hell of a deal, man. Savvy on his part to find that trigger point.
Listen,
right?
man,
he knows who he's dealing with. He knows his league mates.
Listen, let me tell you how far. Let me tell you how far you and I and Evan have come. Right, Mike. I'm in Heisman chat driving home. What is this? Maybe a week and a half ago now, something like that. A week ago, and you know everybody was muted except for him and I. And he, you know, hey, you know what, man? I'm looking. Would you want to swap Swift for Barkley? And I'm like, oh shit. I think I might. And I tried to play the game. I'm like, you know, Barkley's killing it right now. Like, do you think it's 1 for 1? I'm just asking. And, you know, I think it's 1 for 1. And my Swift love wasn't going to let a little plus get in the way, man. So we just swapped it straight up. Good for Evan, though. Like you said, man, knowing us, knowing your league mates is a big thing, and knowing this is a swap that I would make.
Good on you, Evan, for seeing through Adam's bullshit, right? Just cut right to the fucking chase. I know exactly what you want to do. You know what I want to do. I'm not gonna fall for your. Hey, well, I'm gonna need this. Fuck you.
Yep.
Just
Hey,
give me fucking Saquon.
listen, when I have the healthy assets that's smashing and he's a contender, I have to at least ask to see, like, how much does he really want this juice? And truth is, I wanted it just enough to get 1-for-1. So let's get into another deal here. This is our boy JB. Shout out to JB, man.
Not a 1-for-1.
This is the opposite of a 1-for-1. And Mike, I'll say this: this is a best ball. He said he's not competing right now, but he's looking too soon. And I think he has a lot of assets built up. But regardless, like that's the scenario here, and let us talk about it here. This is best ball.
All right. So from a best ball aspect, Adam, right, I see all the stuff that comes back on the other side. And generally I want to lean that side, right? But Justin Herbert, my love for elite quarterbacks, even in best ball leagues, right? Took me a while. I was still quite not there with lineup leagues, but with best ball, man, we did a 4D show all about it.
Right.
My love, it's paying off big time in the leagues where I went 2 studs right at the top, right? Did I just fill in the rest? Getting Justin Herbert's a big fucking deal.
For sure. Huge deal.
You look at this trade a week ago, right? Just think about how much changes in the space in a week, right? We still had some concerns about Pat Freiermuth with the concussions, right?
Yep.
Granted. DJ Moore, he can't ever get the football. Then he comes out and just gets force-fed the ball with PJ Walker at the helm. And now there's life again. Justin Fields.
We just watched him on Monday Night Football run fucking 15 times, right?
Put on a fucking show. You can throw the pass volume shit out the window, all that stuff, whatever you want to say. He threw the ball enough. He threw it well enough. And if you go back and if you're watching our YouTube channel, we did a player short on Justin Fields. And one of the things that we had talked about was the whole like Jalen Hurts from 2021, right? With the Eagles kind of having to do it all, the running. The guy is averaging just as many yards, if not more yards, in the last few weeks than Lamar Jackson does running the football. So,
well, it's interesting, Mike.
You're getting that aspect from the fantasy standpoint, which you love to see as a quarterback, right? You get that super high floor, and then those potential for giant weeks if he's putting up 80 yards and a touchdown on the fucking ground, for Christ's sakes.
Well, that's the thing, man. I'm trying to pull it up here, but I saw. Scott talked about this in the Heisman. I don't have the exact quote, but I'm pretty sure it was the last 3 weeks. He's like quarterback 3 or something.
That's wild, right?
And I'll say this too. What's really interesting about that last game for me that might not be built in for people in fantasy, but it should be, is they just got a win in New England, and it was on primetime, and it was by quite a bit. Now, I understand Mac Jones wasn't healthy, and they went to Bailey Zappi, and then the Bailey Zappi show turned out to be a disaster. But to do what you did against Hoodie on primetime at that place, like that, I think that's something that matters, and them getting that win and staying relevant, like it's not sexy if you watch it, right? Because he still doesn't have the greatest weapons. You may not see the passing volume. But in fantasy, man, I think this is something that does matter.
I really want to take the Justin Herbert side, but again, how much a couple weeks changes. We also saw the last couple weeks for Justin Herbert have been like sketchy as fuck, especially this last week, right? We're talking all those pass attempts for under 200 yards, and you got offensive line issues. Now you got Mike Williams down, right? We have all these things going on, and it just doesn't feel great. I don't want to be too reactionary. Like, I really want to take the Justin Herbert side. If this is a lineup, this is no fucking question, man. I'm good. I generally don't like to
Herbert
consolidate.
by a mile in lineup. I would say in best ball, Mike, I think, like you said, DJ Moore looking like he did, Justin Fields looking a lot better the last few weeks, does make this closer. I would say this. If I'm in best ball and I needed depth, you probably hate making this move, but man, if you get DJ Moore, Pat Freiermuth, Justin Fields, and Mariota doesn't have probably long-term staying power, but you get 2 quarterbacks. Like, on best ball, I would probably make this move on the Contender, even though it feels super fucking gross. But I'll say this, man, like JB doing what he's doing, not knowing he's not competing now, if he's going to apply the principles that we talk about with best ball, and you can lock up Herbert, who we know, Mike, is what? An absolute cheat code. Like, we know based on consistency in spike weeks, he is one of the guys you want no matter what. He is a band player. And so with that being said, I think it's not that bad of a deal as we thought probably a week ago or so. But I do want Herbert in a vacuum. But I would take Ralph Seven's side if I knew like I didn't have the depth and I need to try to win now.
I get it. I like JB's side too from the best ball principal status. I do kind of like Ralph's side outside of the Jalen Warren thing, man. If you
yeah,
know
Jalen Warren's the one thing that sucks. Yeah,
nah, man, give me something else besides Jalen fucking Warren. I don't want a backup running back on a best ball team. Like, give me a receiver, a third wide receiver, something that can spike. He's gonna have very few, if any, spike weeks or above average weeks. So
I'm with you. I think if I was Ralph and I took Warren, I'd be trying like hell to move him sooner than later. So find the Najee owner, be like, hey, listen, man, just in case, here you go.
Yep. You want a handcuff? Here you go.
Yep. So good deal though there, man. And I think, like I said, in a vacuum, I want JB's side, but I don't hate that pivot to a contender, even though it feels really gross. Okay, Mike, we got a lot of hot topics. We'll get to that a little bit later at AMA, but this is a huge deal, man. So you're talking the clear running backs that matter in this class. Obviously, Dameon Pierce is proven to be one that matters too. But the top 2 running backs in the class, Kenneth Walker, Breece Hall, they're being swapped. And our boy Castle Black is getting a first to go with his Breece Hall, where the guy who's probably contending and needing to have running back production now is taking 2 seconds, 1:23 and 1:24. Where are you at with this one?
All right, so when I kind of just I'm still wrapping my mind around the whole Breece Hall thing, right? It's going to take a little bit to get a fair value, a fair assessment where people are at. I know I'm being spammed with lowball fucking offers on my contenders that have Breece Hall, and we kind of talked about it on the recap show. Like, I got to where I was as a contender really without Breece Hall for most of the season. He's just been a really, really nice addition to my contending teams. Like,
really nice.
It hurts. It hurts, but I'm still not going to go full on panic. I wasn't planning on using him, like in that capacity so early that I have been.
Right.
But just right off the jump at him, Breece in a second for Kenneth Walker feels about right. Okay. So if I just kind of put that evaluation on it.
Say that again. Sorry.
Breece Hall and a second round pick, just a generic one for Kenneth Walker.
Okay.
Feels about right. Like, if I'm on a rebuild, that feels about like what, or on a contender, that kind of feels about like the return that I'd want to get. Castle Black just goes, I'll get Breece and a first for my Kenneth Walker, and I'll give you 2 seconds. Now, I like the 2 seconds piece back, right? They're not just throwaways. And in a best ball league, it makes a little bit more sense. In a lineup, Scott Connor's got a lot of work that he's done with Eric about the warp data of generally, second round picks. And some of them, like the mid to late ones, that actually they're almost fucking worthless, right? We value them so much higher than what they're actually worth to your team. So one of the principles we do know, though, it takes a lot of seconds thrown together to equal 1 first, right? And 2 of them definitely don't cut it. So
it's close, but you definitely want a first over 2 seconds.
For sure. So you mean Breece in the first all fucking day on this one. But I get it, man. If I'm on a contender,
would you do this if you were contending? Would you do this?
If it's my first and I feel really good about it being late, and
that's what it is on this paper, yeah.
You should. If you're getting like K9's fucking good, man. K9 is good. And I get 2 seconds back. This deal feels right. Deal feels right.
I was just going to say I wanted to make sure that you would do it, because here's the one piece of this puzzle, Mike, that does make it interesting for me. If you're LC Shepard and you're built right, let's say Breece was your hero RB, or you're one of your top 2 running backs, and you're like, man, I just don't feel good enough about that position. So you get to pivot to Walker. But the interesting piece of the puzzle, Mike, is this. The 23 second here that has a name, Ryan F3514, is a player not in the deal. Like, this is a manager that's not in the deal. Where that second is, like, that could totally change this trade for me. Like, if that thing is more like a mid to early, holy hell, and I think I have a late one, why would you not do that as a contender, right? Now, the flip side is also true. Like, if that one looks like another one of these strong contenders, and that's a late 23 second, even if it's a late 23 first, Mike, you're talking about a huge drop-off. 24 second, I mean, it's something back, but Like, I think that where that second lands has a lot to say about this deal, in my opinion. But I'll say this, man. If you're Castle Black and you're rebuilding, which is you can clearly see this, to get a first in 23 on top of probably what you already accrued as a rebuilder, and you get to get Breece Hall, I like it, man. I really like it for his side more than the other, if I'm being honest.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
All right, so we got a much simpler one. Our boy Schumer, man. He even said, man, he dropped it in the trade show, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to put this on there just because he hit the right caption. He's like, moved off of Gus Edwards, timed it beautifully. Somebody bought. Listen, Edwards actually was relevant versus the Browns, right? Like, if Dobbins is sidelined for another 4 to 6 weeks, I don't know how many weeks like this last week will have, but he'll be all right. But, Mike, I don't really care, like, any second for me over Gus Edwards, if I'm being completely honest. So, yeah, the fourth is whatever it is. I mean, you guys somehow convince them to give you a fourth, too, to just grease it up a little bit. But, like, I don't know. I think the other thing is on the contending side. If I was Bang Bang Niner Gang 18, wow, that's a long name. I don't I just think you could do so much more with a 23 second if you're going to try to make a push. Like, this is a smash for Schumer, man. I got nothing else to say about it.
Smash for Schumer. It's no surprise, too, when I looked out at the person paying this for Gus Edwards. They do have a name like Bang Bang Niner Gang. Really? Come on. A 23 second for Gus Edwards? Fuck no, man. He's also coming off a serious knee injury, and it took him longer to get back on the field than what J.K. Dobbins. Now, maybe they're regretting that a little bit now with the second surgery for J.K., but still.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Similar kind of timelines. It wasn't like they got injured months apart. You know, it was
very similar, actually. Yeah.
Yes. It was both preseasons at the beginning of the preseason for both of them. So, like, who's to say that Gus Edwards isn't going to have knee problems later on in a week or two, right?
Yeah.
Or have some inflammation, or sure, he looked good, man. Sure, he looked good, but Kenyon fucking Drake looked good the week before. So I'm just not going to put too much stock. I get it. They love Gus Edwards. I'm not fucking paying this price. I'm willing to find out if Gus Edwards on my contenders is worth a shit, but not at a second, Adam. Not at a second. And I'm even hesitating, like some of these people who have him on the block, like, I don't even know if I want to offer my thirds for this, right?
I'd probably consider a third in best ball if, like, I knew I wasn't going to be able to do something else with it. But like you said, man, that's gross. I'm probably not. I don't know, man. I guess for a third, what the hell? But I don't know. I'm not very in on Gus Edwards, and I guess to your point, like, I'm okay being wrong. And if I find out I'm wrong, I'll be like, damn. But what am I supposed to expect? It's a guy that was truly just a jag, and he's coming off an injury, and it's a system that hasn't really been great at running the football the last year and a half since Dobbins got hurt. And like you said, Kenyon Drake looked good last week, so I'd rather something else.
I feel you. Good job, Schumer.
Way to go, Schumer, man. Easy one for you. We got a Kenneth Walker. He might be the thumbnail, man. But our boy Redwords, right? So this is an interesting one. So he's in a rebuild, all right?
Okay.
So he's got Kenneth Walker, which on a rebuild, I mean, it kind of makes sense. The whole narrative was Kenneth Walker's not going to see the field much. Rashad Penny's the lead back. Team's not going to be good. So, like, on a rebuilder, it makes sense. You got Walker. Now, all of a sudden, 2.5 weeks of him looking like the focal point lead back dog that we've seen. Somebody's like, oh, shit, I want Kenneth Walker. And guess what, Mike? This is the person that's been sitting on his 23 first and seconds in his rebuild. So when you look at this trade, what's interesting is I actually think what's crazy about this is, like, it probably does not feel good to get rid of Kenneth Walker. But, man, not having your first and second in a total rebuild, and he says this is a top 2 pick. No questions about it. Both of them. Like, whew. Mike, I think I'd rather have the 20 or the 101 and the 102 and the 201 and the 202 than Kenneth Walker. And I like Kenneth Walker quite a bit, man. But the fact that there's an early second attached to that as well, and you're in a rebuild and you want the plethora of assets, I think Ryan Edwards did a hell of a job here, man, personally.
Straight up, 1-for-1, like Kenneth Walker for the 101 or the 102, right now, I'm not a fan of doing it, right? I understand there'll be a situation next year where Bijan or Gibbs or whoever it may be is going to be valued startup-wise very similar to Kenneth Walker, but if he continues this path, right, I think you'll actually find quite a bit of people who will keep bumping him up, right? If he's going to keep putting out 20-point fucking weeks every single, right, it is rookie year. I don't give a shit how much hype is around Bijan or Gibbs. People are still going to look at it and go, they haven't done it in the NFL. We don't know their situation yet as far as what team they're going to. We saw Kenneth Walker in the NFL be an RB1, a top 5 option, and put up 20-point weeks. And if you're putting up 20-point weeks every single fucking week, he's going to be closer to that RB1 or RB2, right? You're talking like Jonathan Taylor rookie year kind of shit.
Mike, I mean, you go to our friends at Keep Trade Cut right now. They have him as RB3 today. So, like, now let me just say this. I actually think I agree with you, but there's also a counterpoint too that I also kind of agree with. And the reason I think I'll lean Ryan's side, especially with the second involved, which I know you were going to get to, but even in the 1-for-1 is this. What did we just see with Breece Hall?
That's true. It's true.
What did we see with a lot of running backs this year? Like, one, injuries. So to me in a rebuild, I'll take the liquid asset, which may not even be valued as highly. Like, I'll be honest, right now today in Dynasty, if you told me 102 or Kenneth Walker and you're a contender, like, fuck it, give me Kenneth Walker. Like, I agree with that. But if I can protect the asset to the time where the startup is, for sure, and I'm getting a second, like, I'm going to do that. I think that's the big caveat to the conversation. But to your point, man, like, Kenneth Walker, if he continues to play the way he's playing, he's going to be easily one of the top Dynasty running backs in the discussion come next offseason. So I think there's – like, I think Goff is elite too, man. Grabbing Edwards picks. Like, I don't know that he had to give up both of these, but, man, if you're a contender and it's like I've been sitting on this guy's picks and now I get to get a top 5 Dynasty running back to really push for the title, like, you maybe overpaid a little bit because you also had him by the balls, right? When you got Ryan by the balls, you didn't have to throw the second in. But I will say that, like, that's probably a push that isn't going to feel bad as long as Kenneth Walker stays healthy.
I like it. Like I said, the way Ryan got his first back and the second really makes it for me. I'm more on the 1-for-1. Like, I'm ready to roll the dice and just see how much higher OKW9 can go, right?
I'm with you, man. I like it. We got AMA to get to soon, so let's talk here. We got a few more to get through. Our boy, Dan, Blitz.
Getting Tua, Najee in a second sends away Goff and Barkley. You coming off Barkley for Tua and Najee?
So, in a rebuild, yeah. Yeah, I am. Yeah. Are you?
Yeah, no fucking question. I'd probably come off of Barkley for Najee in a second, to be honest, or Tua in a second.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at this is, like, I think what you did is you traded away Goff for Tua, and then they basically paid Najee in the second to get Barkley. But, like, no matter how you cut this, and I think, too, let's call it what it is. If you're on the contending side and you had Tua and Najee Harris, you don't feel good about Najee Harris. I know there's so many contenders that are trying to move Najee, correct, right? And then Tua, at the same time, he didn't look bad last week. He didn't look great either. And he's got this scary-ass concussion. So, like, this is not a deal. Like, I want Blitz's side all day. But I'm just saying the narratives as to why you might do this trade and take Barkley and Goff is like, I went out of the Tua business because of the concussions, and I really went out of Najee because it doesn't seem like he's going to do anything for me this year.
I feel that. I don't know, man. I watched quite a bit of that Miami game, right? I thought Tua looked just as good as he did earlier in the season. So I think it's just the concussion thing. I'm also I got the whole, like, Scott Connor podcast, talking up Tua in the back of my head, right? And Scott never was a Tua guy heading into the season, but you got to acknowledge from the efficiency
love to hear
standpoint,
it, man. Love to hear it.
He's fucking good at football. Now, the concussion worries me. I don't know how much we're overblowing that. We kind of saw, like, we thought Freiermuth was going to be done forever. after the third concussion and
back right away, right?
back and we kind of overblow stuff. So I really like Tua. I'm still balls deep on Tua. The Najee Harris thing, like I understand if you're a contender, you can go from Barkley to Najee or go from Najee
That's
in your
huge,
second
right?
and get Saquon. That's huge. The Goff for Tua thing, man, Goff's kind of turning back into that pumpkin a little bit. Just
Sure
a little
is.
bit.
Sure is.
It's so that I want Dan's side a billion times, but I do understand like I can make an argument for the daddy long naps thing. Like maybe Tua wasn't an integral piece as far as this quarterback room goes too. Like I don't know what his starters are.
That's what I'm getting ready to say is like I don't have the piece of the puzzle to figure out what those were in his lineup, but I'll say this. I was just making the point to illustrate that I can understand why someone would do this. Me personally, I want the other side all day.
I feel you.
All right. Ooh. Easy one.
What the fuck? I saw this one go down. I'm in this league.
Dude, and I had to put this on here. I
threw my phone across the fucking room at work when this happened.
I had to put this on here. We don't have to discuss this ad nauseum, but our boy Brady Millert, gets a second. And you know what, Mike? Two things. One, dude, seriously, like I got to do this because it's just the fact that you got this done is truly incredible to me. But I'll say this. This is like relentless is like how relentless would you have to be to send a second? Like how dumb are you going to be to do this?
So Adam, it's a best ball league, and this guy is
give a shit.
Understandable. The guy is also first in the league, right? And I'm just looking at it like it's his 24 second. And I don't know how many times I've been trying to make a deal, like, thinking about things that I could send him. It's also a different kind of league where the payout structure doesn't really become big until like the third year, right? So the first year, if you win it, to kind of curve against those people who build all in and then bounce after a year, right. All the guys who failed contenders and then just go from league to league.
We don't have to drop any names. We know the guy,
You could see the little tear down icon in there, so I'd already seen it at the time of this screenshot, and I was already pissed at the time.
Believe me, I made sure to put that in the picture here that we're watching. Listen, you take the second here. I don't care. I don't even care what your build is, dude. Like, listen, I'm willing to fucking be way out wrong on Sam Ehlinger. I don't want to talk about this one too much more, man. Like, just it's over. Like, let's. We got our boy T-Rock shit auction here, Mike. Cordell Patterson, Tyler Boyd, Patrick Mahomes for Marquise Hollywood Brown, Kyler Murray in a 25 first.
I fucking hate this too because I'm in this league as well, and it just makes T-Rock's team better.
But here's what I'll say: like, I don't love Pat-a-Tat's side, even if you're rebuilding. Honestly.
I fucking hate it, man.
I think the difference from Kyler to Mahomes is big enough to where like I need a first, and then it's 25. Like I need a first at least in best ball to make that up, and then like while Hollywood Brown's hurt, you give me Tyler Boyd and Cordell Patterson, like I'm good. Like
I get it, man. You want to get off Boyd and Patterson for sure, right? If you're
Patterson especially, I don't think you need to get off Boyd, but I would want to.
Right, you kind of want to capitalize while it's high.
Yeah.
And if you could work out something where you send Boyd and Patterson and get a hurt Hollywood, that's the move you make. The 25 first and Kyler for Mahomes, fuck that, man. Nah, fuck that. Fuck that. Listen, I know it's best ball and you want to capitalize and multiply assets, but again, we talked about earlier in the show, one of the principles of our best ball teams is how important the stud quarterbacks are. And when we do a 4D chess episode about WARP, from our standpoint, right? Not as in-depth or technical as Scott will get, but just from our standpoint, the dummies trying to analyze it and looking at graphs and shiny colors. I mean, we can explain it in a way that makes sense because I understand it when I look at it and I go, fuck, elite quarterbacks are really fucking important.
Listen, man, I get how you get here. I understand why you would make it. For me, I would need more personally on that other side, but here we go. Mike didn't like it. Shock. Our boy Zach, real quick. Speaking of Kyler, we have a Kyler versus Kenneth Walker thumbnail going right now. 14-team PPR. He has to hit us with the IDP, and he also has the 101. I like these like drawings in here. Like, let us know what's going on. Yeah. Projected 102, and Kyler Murray he's receiving for Justin Fields, Breece Hall, and the 23 second. Where are you at here?
How the fuck does he get this done? Who looks at it and goes, hey, I got a top 2 pick in 2023. You know what I want to send that for?
Breece Hall.
We talked about it. I'm not a fan straight up for the Kenneth Walker thing. For a guy who's fucking injured and I rank below Breece Hall, fuck you, give me the pick. Give me the pick. I will take the pick and just re-roll it. And then how do you rationalize the whole, like, I get it, man. I'm talking up Justin Fields and I'm feeling good, but even I got my limits. Like, I just shit on Kyler, and now on this deal I have to come back and go, Kyler, way over Justin Fields.
Yeah, because we're talking about the difference is Mahomes in the last deal and Justin Fields in this deal. It's monumentally different. I mean, yes. I don't care what the fuck you say to me. So, like, here's the thing. Kyler, like 23-102 over Breece Hall, even like Breece Hall before the injury, way over the 102 for me. At least over the 102. He gets hurt, I want the 102. Like, what are we talking about? And then if I have to send a potential late second in 14 team, Mike, that's damn near a third round fucking pick.
Yep.
And Justin Fields for Kyler Murray, like, get the fuck out of here, Zach. Good deal. We've been dunking on Zach. Let's let Zach get off on a fucking good win. Damn, dude. Like, do we have some savages in our Discord or what, man? I thought we make some bad deals, like when we're trying to get value on people. This is the last one of the day here, man. Go Devil, our guy here. He gets Latavius Murray, Dante Foreman, Tony Pollard, a 23 first and a 23 fourth, and he sent away his Breece Hall and a 23 second. Mike, I don't know all the dynamics of this. I wanted to say it was best ball, but I don't actually know all the specifics there.
Man, I hate this without knowing the picks too, right?
Yep, for sure.
I don't think he's one to acquire picks, like a rebuilding pick.
Right.
Because like the top part's all
it
Contender.
Is. Here we go. 12 team, Superflex, best ball, PPR, TEP, start 11. He's 5-2, strong contender.
I can't fucking do this, man.
Okay. So
I can't do this.
Even if you knew that 23 first was like mid to early?
If it's mid to early, again, like I see the 4D aspect of it, right? And it's something that we talk about. I just hate having to move multiple pieces, right? I got to make this move, and then I got to turn that.
I'm with you.
That relies on a whole bunch of new set of people to be willing to deal with me.
Right.
And
but let me just say this. I'm with you. I think this one, without knowing all the dynamics, is troublesome on that other side. But in best ball, let me say this. If you got off Breece Hall in a second and you got back a mid to early 23 first, like, let's just say that in best ball, I could take the pivot to that because I think it's probably a more fluid, movable asset a lot of times. You know what I mean? And then I would say this. I want Pollard, Foreman, and Murray over the 23 second. And then the 23 fourth just, what the fuck? Who cares, right?
Whatever.
Like, it's regardless, you get rid of that. But, like, I'll say this too. Like, if I'm getting off of shitters like Foreman and Murray, and Pollard's not a shitter, right? But if I'm rebuilding, I want to get off of Pollard. If I'm getting off those two shitters and Pollard, and I get Breece in a second, I'm probably willing to send a later 23 first, even a mid 23 first. If it's got a chance to be like top 6 to 5 earlier, I might want to hold. But I understand the rebuild side why Pity 83 would do this for sure.
Yeah, imagine if that's like the 110, 111, 112 that he sent in that deal.
Then
like I'm doing backflips if I'm Pity to get off of those dudes.
Yeah, then if that's
Breece Hall in a second.
If that's the case, man, I like what Pity did a lot. I think I understand completely what our boy KWIII Devil's doing, but sometimes it's gross, man. Sometimes you got to make gross deals in best ball when you have fucking guys like Breece Hall get hurt. Listen, there's the trades of the day. Dynasty Trade Show in the books again. We're going to keep bringing it to you week in and week out, but let us know what you think of the deals. Let us know if we were right, wrong, how bad people are just abusing these fucking these league mates in the streets, man. Some of these deals today, Mike, were insane.
Yeah. Last thing before we bounce out of here, patreon.com/South Harmon. It will be in the description below. If you want to get your deals finished featured on this show, that's the way to do it. We got a channel, post them in there. And hell, it's $1 to get in the door. you might learn some other stuff in there. We're always having conversations and taking multiple victory laps, or crying on each other's shoulders like this last week when everybody that we love gets hurt, doesn't do anything, or just doesn't play.
We're just like you, we get our emotions. We get high, we get low. Breece Hall runs a 64-yard touchdown. We're thinking, we found it. Running back's back. He tears his ACL. Fuck. Running back's dead. We're just humans like you guys. So if you found this valuable, hit the subscribe button down below. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If not, we will see you back here, same time, same place, Saturday morning. Peace.